Hey Trekkies, it's summer, and you know what that means. It's time for Creation Entertainment's Trek to Las Vegas 2025. This year, the convention has been expanded to a 5-day schedule, August 6th through the 10th at the Rio Las Vegas Hotel. Meet all your favorite Star Trek pros in one place, and hey, maybe you swing by Vic's Lounge and you see our panel. It's a great way to meet people in person and have some fun with your fellow Trekkies. If you can't make it to Star Trek Las Vegas, of course, there's also other events around the country this year. Trek to Orlando, August 23rd through 24th. There's the Trek to New Jersey, September 6th and 7th. And finally, the Trek to Chicago, November 22nd and 23rd. We're looking forward to meeting as many of you as we can this year. So make sure that you get ready to trek to Las Vegas.
This is Dr. Fern Riddell, and you're listening to Open Pike Night, the official podcast of Trek Lessons from History. I love
it! Is this thing on? Hello. Welcome to Open Pike Night, the Strange New Worlds podcast where your personal logs are the prime directive. I'm your host, John T. Bolds, here tonight with some amazing guests on stage and in the studio to discuss Episode 5 of Strange New Worlds Season 2, Charades. Join us tonight as we discuss which Open Pike Night host had the most awkward puberty, which one of us had the toughest times getting our in-laws to like us, and who gets the most annoyed at the messes made by our coworkers at lunch. Joining me today are my co-hosts, the man who will eat all the bacon and is consistently thirsty, host of Sudden But Inevitable, Jesse.
Really, Producer John? You're going there already?
And the man who knows that no matter what, his mom has his back, even when he awkwardly hits on a cop, host of Green Shirt, A Newbie's Trek Through TNG, Cameron.
Well, John, my mom is a cop, so you just kind of made this weird.
And today we have a special guest, historian, writer, podcaster, and immodest woman, Trek fan, author of Sex Lessons from History. Welcome to Dr. Fern Riddell.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about your history with Star Trek.
Oh, my history with Star Trek. Well, I was thinking about this the other day. I remember the first ever Star Trek episode I saw, and I must have been about 4 years old. And my grandfather used to put it on VHS for me when I used to go and stay with him, so that I have something to watch and be distracted by. And it was Man Trap, the very, very first ever Star Trek episode. And I remember being terrified. Because it's the one with the salt monsters on the face and the sucking and you die. Oh! Yeah, it was absolutely terrifying. So that is my first memory of Star Trek. And I think my love affair with it just started then. And it's just carried on.
I do love how the things that traumatized us as children are often cling to us as our favorite things.
Yep.
Formative.
Very much so. Though I don't know if they've ever brought back the monsters that were in Man Trap, the salt-sucking
in
vampires.
Lower Decks, we've seen them.
Yeah.
Check out Lower Decks if you haven't been watching that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can now. But it was really formative. And then when I was growing up, we had obviously DS9 and Voyager on telly over here in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And those were kind of things that you would run home from school, or at least I would, to watch, because it was escapism and it was Strange New Worlds and it was all of that. And it was just absolutely mind-blowing. So I've always loved the Star Trek universes.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
This is not part of the outline, but I have to ask, favorite captain?
Oh no. Okay. I think there's a hierarchy. So Janeway is always going to be up there because she was a woman. She was amazing. She was so cool. And when I was sort of 10, 12, 13, she was incredible. How can you not love Picard? Because that's like iconic. And then I think Pike is definitely my most recent favorite, and that's a hard favorite for me.
Phrasing.
That's excellent.
All right.
Yeah, we'll just do a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode. Phrasing just constantly. So
Okay, I'm happy to be on any show that has an Archer reference in it. That makes me even more happy.
Well, we're happy to have you here with us today, and we have a good group of callers who are lending their thoughts to us today. And so let's hear from Tessa, our first caller.
We got Sam Kirk back and nothing else matters, actually. I refuse. I'm not talking about the rest of the episode because I could talk about that for an hour and a half. We are just talking about having Sam Kirk back because I love him so much. He's my favorite, best boy, best male character, maybe ever. I could watch an entire episode that was just Sam Kirk going throughout his daily routine, which is saying something because I don't like looking at men that much. His hair looked great, his skin looked great, his mustache looked great. He was killing it. I loved that he was eating at the meeting, because sometimes you need to have a snack. And we should stop having to put our bodies on hold because we are in a meeting, especially if it's something that can be small and unobstructive, because that's the thing. Eating a muffin and drinking something is pretty unobstructive. I'm super sorry to Spock that he went, yeah, I'll clean it up after. Not that big of a deal, man. Just fucking ignore it. Sam Kirk, I love you. I hope I get to see you again soon. That's all. Bye. This is Tessa.
All right. Thank you, Tessa.
Hard agree, Tessa.
Yeah. So before we get into the comedy of the episode, how do we feel going around the room about eating in meetings? Jesse, what do you think?
So I'm a little Sam Kirk in my daily life. I constantly have something sitting on the side of my desk at work that I'm not sure if it's supposed to be there, but it's like, to Tessa's point, I'm an adult, right? Like, just let me eat at my desk. I will clean it up. It's not going to affect you. Get over it. Now, were I eating at a conference table, I could see where that might be a little more disruptive. But I love this scene for a lot of reasons, chiefly among them being that we get to see Spock be the chief science officer, right? It's a whole table of blue shirts, and he's in charge. And he's well within his rights of the chain of command to scream at Kirk about his muffin. And this was also pointed out online, but the Sam Kirk hands up, don't worry face is the exact same one that Shatner made in TOS.
Yeah, I had to see the side by side. I was like, oh, shoot, they did it. Yeah, I say as long as it's not pungent or noisy, which makes a muffin like the perfect meeting snack.
Yeah,
that's true.
Tuna sandwiches, not so much.
Well, I don't think anyone having a tuna sandwich in a conference or a meeting or even at your desk is a good idea because of the smell. I don't know. I'm half with Spock on this because if anyone else had been eating, it would have been fine. But it's just Sam. Sam is the only person making a mess. And I completely am with Spock on that, like, you have made a mess in my area and it's just you. That I completely understand. But for a second, can we talk about the food in this episode?
Yes.
Because, oh my God. And I don't think I've ever had a Star Trek show where I have been equally obsessed by the food in an episode that I am in this. There's this whole theme that Pike cooks and he makes these amazing things and we can see that. It's just giving a whole other world and a whole other kind of layer to this universe that they're making that I get really excited over. And also I want to eat everything.
Yeah, normally when you see food in Star Trek, it's either clearly a prop, right? Or it's like regular looking food and they colored it blue and they're like, oh, look at that. It's from an alien planet.
Yeah.
But this is like...
This is molecular gastronomy. Like, yeah.
Like, there's structure to it. It's beautiful. It's presentation. Like, and knowing that Pike grows his own cooking ingredients, like... I think Riker studied this man. Like, Riker studied this man and went, I'm going to pull pieces from every captain so that I can be the coolest captain when I get there. Yeah. Because, man, like, just the care, like crushing the herbs with his hands. And he's so domestic, and I love it. Like, it's so good.
I do love when like Spock is like, "No, I cannot smell," and he's like, "Really?" He
Really?
he just doesn't believe him.
Did we know that about Vulcans? This is a thing that whenever we're sitting there going, hang on a minute.
Yeah, it was mentioned in Enterprise, and one of our other callers brings that up a little bit. It hasn't been like it wasn't an original series thing. It wasn't a TNG DS9 Voyager thing. Yeah, they mentioned it first in Enterprise, and it's been kind of there in the background.
And it's kind of a great extension of the TOS lore, right? Because Spock would make comments about that in TOS, and it was like, of course, the Vulcans would go, let's figure out a way to fix this.
Yeah.
And they play it to great effect in this whole episode, having him lift up his own arm and go, do I smell?
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredibly relatable.
Yeah.
Spock would mention humans smelling in TOS.
He would make like subtle jabs, right? Like when he would talk about like, oh, I actually really liked Evil Kirk because he was way easier for me to understand, right? Because he was just this way. I didn't have to think about what he was processing. And then like McCoy will make a jab, and then Spock will be like, oh yeah, the smell wasn't that bad either. Like, there's some hints at it, right? But the actual suppressing of nasal passages is, I loved it. It was well played the whole episode.
Yeah. As far as the eating in conference rooms, I am okay with it, again, as long as it's within normal boundaries. I will say the most infamous version of that I've ever been at was a conference room back when I worked in the oil field. Our boss called us in for a conference, and he had like these paper towels sitting in front of him on the table with something under him, and he starts talking, and he just opens them up, and it's like 12 Ritz crackers with like peanut butter and banana sitting on them. We're like, oh, this is a long meeting. He has brought fuel for this. And it was like a 2.5 hour long meeting. So that sort of became our barometer of like, all right, what did he bring in today for the meeting? How long are we going to be here? So it did become
I got to be
useful.
honest, John, that's not the snack I would have picked for like an oil rig boss. Like I was
dude.
I thought you were going to be like, he opened up a plate of fish heads or something. I was like, no way.
No, we went through peanut butter like crazy and steaks like crazy. So, yeah.
Did he bring a steak to the meeting? Like a whole steak?
He never brought steak to the meeting, but we would do like cookout. We would cook for ourselves sometimes out there, and just do a big old, middle of December, middle of the night. Like, well, let's have a little Christmas dinner. So
steak at a meeting would be a real power move.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If you bring it just for you and you don't bring it for everyone else.
Yeah.
But I have to agree with Tessa's other points. I mean, Sam Kirk's hair in this episode is almost as tall as Pike's hair.
Yes.
Like it was very, very well done. And happy to see the mustache got to stay.
Yeah.
Okay, now hang on a minute, because Sam Kirk was in this episode for all of 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And you're all obsessed. This is a new one to me, because Sam Kirk hasn't come onto my radar as someone to be obsessed with yet. I don't know if we just haven't had the moment or the storyline enough for me, but I have not got this level of obsession that seems to be current on this podcast.
Episode 2, when he was like helping her out on the comet and then like zapped himself to death. It endeared himself to me for the rest of the episode or the show.
Well,
and because we don't see much of him, we want more.
Yeah.
And not to be, however this sounds, but we did interview Mr. Janat, who plays Sam Kirk, and he is delightful.
Yeah.
He is just the sweetest man. And it really, you'll find that a lot of us here on the show are huge fans of the characters, but also of the actors that play those characters.
Yeah.
So the line blurs for us sometimes.
Yeah, Dan Janat,
I get it.
He's Sam Kirk, and he is in lots of Hallmark romance movies. So he has,
Okay, I get it. I see it now.
Yeah. All right, let's hear from our next caller, Newman, returning to the Open Pike Night Stage.
Hi, Open Pike Night. It's Newman from the Movies for Days podcast. It's like Spock Amok Part 2. It's Mother's Day. I like a hijinks episode, especially after last week being kind of heavy. I know many online are tired of Spock episodes, but I gotta say, with Ethan Peck's performance being this good, I just can't make myself agree or care. His scenes struggling as a full human for the first time, were not only a great analog for being a teenager going through puberty, but also being a young acting student. Having gone through theater school, a lot of those scenes really spoke to me, and that was just fun as all hell and so well done. T'Pring's insightful observation that Spock confided in the whole crew to aid him in the deception while leaving her in the dark shows how much more he trusts the crew of the Enterprise and how they are truly his family. And this experience has shown that while he may never be accepted by all Vulcans, he is fully accepted and embraced by the Enterprise crew. Romance, hijinks, lots of laughs. This was a good-ass episode, in my humble opinion. Okay, that's what I got. Newman out.
All right, Newman, thank you for calling in. He brings a lot of great points. We are going to have a very good discussion about Amanda and Mother's Day and this episode. But I think right now we should talk about the hijinks, because is this the funniest Star Trek episode ever? Because I think it might be pretty close. Like, especially if we take animated Star Trek out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Is this the funniest live action Star Trek episode we've seen?
I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud. I thought it was brilliant. And I think one of the things that struck me is having Spock as human but trying to be Vulcan made Vulcans even funnier, made logic hilarious.
Yes.
And that I just absolutely loved.
Well, and it really is, Spock Amok Part 2 Vulcan Boogaloo, because he in the first part of Spock Amok, he switches with another Vulcan, right? So we're not seeing these huge differences. We're seeing like really tiny, subtle differences between his personality and T'Pring's, and it's like, okay, what if we just spun that top and went all the way on it, right? And as I will talk about the hijinks, but as a mechanism to get Spock to understand his mother, oh my god, like I was. The range of these episodes continues to blow me away. They will make us laugh and, disconnect from reality for 40 minutes. And then in the last 15, they're like, actually reality, and you should think about it. And it's like, wow, my heart. But I think you can't mention the hijinks in this episode without mentioning the 1,245 micro expressions that Anson Mount made with his face throughout the course of it. Like, the man is a brilliant comedic actor.
Yeah, he really is.
I need more of it.
I was saying to you guys yesterday, like, I don't know why he keeps getting put in these heavy dramatic roles. It's because he knocks those out of the park too. But like, give this man a comedic vehicle, because everything he does, so great. I'm going to give the edge to Elysian Kingdom. I think I find that more funny and more heartbreaking in the last 10 minutes. But this does kind of follow that formula. You're right, Jesse. Yeah. I will say, tune in, keep listening after this episode, because we have a quick interview with the director,
Jordan Canning.
And she talks a lot about how they got those hijinks and how there's even more hijinks on the cutting room floor. So stay tuned after this episode to hear that.
And I was thinking about it. I think part of what makes it so funny, one, is everybody on the crew gets their moment to shine at being funny, and everybody nails it. We were talking last episode about how, people were excited to see the crew working together again. I'm like, no, this is the first time this season we have seen the whole crew working together to one purpose. And that purpose is that this time Spock's puberty is human puberty, not Vulcan puberty. And it's not the first time we've seen him go through it, but it's his first human, and just getting everybody to have a chance to mock him just a little bit, including, and I love it, Counselor La'an. It's like, she talks to him after he tries to beat up Sam Kirk, but it's like, is this where La'an's going to end up? Is she going to run off to the counseling program and like start it for Starfleet? Because that kind of makes sense as a character arc for her.
Oh, yeah. A lot of that does make sense. But I would push back on that and say she realizes pretty quickly that she is not the person for this, because she suddenly realizes what's happening. She's like, okay, Spock just checked me out. time to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I
Jesse, may I remind
be
you
in this
the
room anymore.
effectiveness of Deanna Troy as a counselor sometimes, though.
That was not Deanna's fault, John.
I know. I'm just saying, 150 years later, they're still not great at it on starships.
It's true.
But speaking of that scene with Lon, I mean, that to me is the most important scene of the episode. There's been a lot of talk of like nature versus nurture with this episode, and like, oh, if you just change his biology, would his cultural like education change? And I'll admit, like, for the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh, they're going really broad, and would he act like this? But that's the episode where she mentions that what he's going through sounds like an adolescent human male, and I'm like, oh, it's puberty. Oh, okay. Now I'm on board.
Right.
Like, it's a little hand wavy, but that's what Star Trek does. Give me a little hand wave, and I will go with you on this quest that you want me, this trek that you want me to go with this episode. And yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, Ethan Peck plays an amazing petulant teenage boy, and I am here for it.
I think there's something in that, though, when you're watching Ethan Peck, how perfectly he gives us Spock's innocence and youth. In that every other time we've seen Spock, Leonard Nimoy, and then, the brilliant actor whose name I've forgotten has just vanished out of my head. Zachary Quinto, thank you. That's Spock with a real sense of self-assuredness. He knows who he is. And something that I think Ethan Peck has always managed to tap into is a very young Spock, a Spock who hasn't had all the experiences that we've seen him have over the years, over the decades. And that, I think, is a real talent and kind of incredible to watch, I think.
When he sits up, it's like yes, they took the prosthetics off of him, but like you see a different presence inside of him, and it's a scared kid, right? Like, he has no idea how to deal with this. And I know that we're going to get to Savette, Spock's potential father-in-law, but I mean, such humanity in a couple of Vulcans in this episode. And having him yell at Pike, I mean, there's so much to say about the hijinks, right?
Yeah, but that's my favorite moment of Pike's when we're talking about hijinks, when he's just like, whoa, calm down. Hang on a minute. That for me, and also the swerve with the dish where he comes into the room towards the end and then in the middle of the round, he's like, oh no, I'm just going to go straight out again. Those, I just absolutely, it was brilliant. It was so perfect because, like you were saying, this episode has all of the comedy and all of the heart, and that is a really difficult balance to get right. But you're feeling it in every moment, and none of it feels like a clash. None of it feels like, oh, I was just laughing and now I'm crying and I feel weird. I don't like it as a viewer, like as an audience. Like, you're taken with it every step of the way, and it all feels so believable and so natural. I think it's one of the great kind of how clever this show is in what it's giving to its audience.
Yeah, the impossibly relatable framing device just functions, right? Because as you were going through puberty as a young person, you're like, my emotions are all right here, and I can go from laughing to devastated in 10 minutes. Like, it's just, I keep coming back to this word, but it really is very human.
Yeah. And I know it's played for laughs, but it's like, no, if he's going through puberty, the amount that Spock eats in this episode constantly, like, that's not even a joke. Like, they are underplaying how much a teenager will eat.
The grapes. When he's eating the grapes while everyone else is talking.
All right. Let's hear from our next caller on the Open Pike Night Stage. Here's Jen.
Hey, Open Pike. This is Jen. I thought it was probably one of the funniest Star Trek episodes ever, and probably my favorite of the season. The father-in-law had me rolling every time he was like, oh yeah, this is great. And then his wife would look at him like, but it's not. And then he's like, you're right, it's not. I also loved Pike in the background, his facial expressions, his body movement, all of that. He was just trying to survive the night and make everybody happy. Human Spock was kind of cool. It was nice seeing the emotions. And it goes in line with previous original series tracks where there's a few times where Spock got to be in his feels. All in all, a great episode. I really enjoyed it. And yeah.
Jen, thank you for calling in. Let's talk about those in-laws.
Let's. Please.
We'll get to the ceremony itself because we have a new caller who makes a fantastic comparison. But yeah, let's just talk about T'Pring's parents.
Okay. First question. did anybody notice Captain Pike's cool new wall screensaver that he set up for his Vulcan guests?
Oh, I didn't.
No.
It's a nice, calming, relaxing, roiling crater of magma and fire that is just exploding. And like you would see on Vulcan.
That's cool.
So I immediately
Nice
clocked
detail.
that. I was like, it's orange. What's going on? I thought it was the fall version of the forest, right? But no, he's got some real thought put into this, right? Like, I'm bringing Vulcans in. Let's give him a taste of home and a taste of home with my cooking.
Hey.
Yeah, he is. He's such the Martha Stewart of Starfleet. It's not even funny. Like, he would rather be hosting all the time. But man, when they come in, you just the opening of, she is absolutely against this, and he is instantly like, "Ooh, food. All right, what do you got?"
Oh, right. I didn't realize. I like this. Yeah, I was here for the Spock jinx. I was enjoying the Spock jinx, but when the in-laws came in, this episode went to a whole nother level for me. And I mean, not to take away from the mother-in-law, she does a great job and is hilarious in her own right, but she's what we were expecting, especially the way T'Pring sets her up. I was not expecting the henpecked Vulcan father-in-law, like the tropiest sitcom character ever, and just nailing it with a Vulcan perspective was exquisite.
Something that has been bugging me ever since I watched this episode is I feel like this is an Easter egg.
Okay.
That I haven't been intelligent enough to locate yet, because it feels so familiar. The food, the not liking it, that moment, that opening scene where we meet them and they come in and it's with a snack, feels like something I have seen before. It's so like on the back of my skull of this is an Easter egg. Did you guys feel the same, or did it feel more fresh for you?
I mean, again, it just felt like a scene we've seen in every 90s sitcom.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say back to the 60s of sitcoms, even dinner
Every
party
sitcom.
misunderstandings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that is exactly
Maybe
my
it's
same
something like
impression.
that. Maybe it's like I Dream of Jeannie or something.
Right.
Something
yeah.
like way back.
Yeah.
Like proper 1960s hosting a
that.
terrible dinner party and awful people
They're
arrive.
right. There are some weird in-laws and Bewitched.
Yeah,
Yep.
something like that.
There were some people online that actually didn't even clock that Savette was married to T'Pring. They go, I figured he was like a valet.
Oh.
Like
one of
like
our callers
Loxana
mentioned
Troy.
that. I had to cut it out for
Oh,
time.
perfect.
But yeah, he did mention that it's like, who is this guy? It's like, oh, he's her father.
He walks in so far behind T'Pring that people were like, oh, there's a formal relationship going on here. But I think it's just that, not only does her reputation precede her into the room, she precedes everyone else into the room. And it personality-wise and physically, I agree with you, Cameron. I don't want to take anything away from her performance because she really did nail it. But
She does have
just the pairing of them is, like you said, it's a trope. It's a flat trope. Like, we have seen this before. But you know what? It totally works.
Well, we
Like,
haven't seen it with Vulcans. And she does, to her credit, have the funniest line of the episode when she says something about, you really should have a more resilient bladder.
Yeah.
like the whole
It's
ceremony
a Vulcan.
is over.
A Vulcan would have a more resilient
right. Yeah,
bladder.
that's
And you're like,
She's like, yes, you can get married,
Great.
but here's something for him to work on.
Yeah.
Like, man.
And I like that they gave us a little bit of background, and it's easy to miss with the rest of the episode where they're talking about why, when Amanda's describing why the wedding is still happening, is he values a connection to Sarek. She is much more obviously, I mean, the social climber, it is tropes we've seen before in sitcoms and movies and stories all the time of like what they find most important. And they don't ever bring that to the front for him, but it's like, no, this guy, yes, he's playing the fool this whole episode, but obviously he does have, interests either political or just shadowing, getting closer to Sarek. He is a climber as well.
He's much more diplomatic than T'Pring, right? Like he's making human considerations like the whole episode. Like, oh yeah, you should try this. And I'm going to disagree with you, Cameron. I think the funniest line is, how many syllables did this human use?
That was good too.
Like, man.
I think that's the only place where the plotting of this episode falls down for me, is set up that he is the one who values the connection. So you would expect him to be more powerful in that dynamic. And then when he comes in, he's so henpecked. I was sort of left at the end going, but why would the mother care? Why would the mother care about his opinion?
Yeah.
Because she obviously, he's so dominated in those moments. So that was the only thing where I was like, I don't kind of get the full motivation here.
I think it's all about the ritual. I think the ritual is really important to her, and he knows that's got to go right for her to agree to the social climbing thing. I don't think he cares about the ritual, so he's just there for the ride.
I think Savette is a massive fanboy, and he's like, I just want to meet Sarek. Whatever it takes. If you got to marry my kid, that's fine.
I think it is Savette's house. I think when he is out in public with T'Pril, it's T'Pril's. She runs their public life, and I think it's more when, I'm not saying a complete role reversal as far as dominance, but it is his household, and I think he just, like you said, Jesse, does not care about things like social status in Vulcan society. He's thinking of bigger things, and so I like that
we don't really get much of an impression of what T'Pring's relationship is with her dad, though, do we? At all. It's all focused on her mom, and he's this funny side character. And I think if we're going to see more of them, I would want to see that relationship to kind of, is there a softening that comes to T'Pring in her relationship with her dad if he is not as dominant and domineering as her mum is?
Yeah. Well, and you make a good point, Fern, because Savette is the opposite of Sarek, right? From what we can tell. He's very caring, he's nurturing, he's chill. That is,
he's curious about human things. Yeah,
exactly. Which we know
Sarek is curious about human things.
Sarek has interest in humans too, but it's he's a much better dad than Sarek. We'll just put it that way.
Oh, you know what? That leads really well into our next call from Isaac.
Hello, Open Pike guys. It's Isaac here from
Unplanned Trek.
We watched this episode, and I have to say, if we needed proof that Spock was Sarek's son, well, we have it tonight. And as that famous Vulcan saying goes, you can't have your chapel and T'Pring too. And I made you guys a song. If you're in a flapple, you should avoid Nurse Chapel. You can't have your cake and eat it too. That's something Sarek would do. If he goes too far, would he blame it all on far? Here is the thing.
Thank you.
Engage to T'Pring to do what you're thinking of doing, Spock. Guys, I'm not fully recovered from this episode. It's going to take me a while to unpack, to process, and to work out which team I'm on. Am I Team T'Pring or Team Chapel? Is there going to be a Royal Rumble Spock love match, death match, Rumble match? You say match?
Match.
Yeah, well, is that going to happen? That's a long hashtag. Or is Spock just going to work it out himself? Let's hope that Sarek can come back and straighten things out. Actually, you know what Sarek would say? Sarek would say, don't make any decisions, Spock. You've made them already. Chapel and T'Pring. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, see you next time.
All right, we'll take a little while to think about who we would ship Spock with, because that question does come up a little later. But the presence of Sarek without him being in this episode, and that it's, his name is said first before we even know that this is almost entirely Amanda's episode, and he's just a presence, and I don't talk to him. He's just not there, but always hovering over this whole thing. And yet they still just make it a comedy. And it's like father, like son is a pretty good point, Isaac.
Is that the first time Ponfar has been used as a lyric in a song? Because
I mean, come on, guys. Hang on a second here. We need to talk about Spock, because what your caller has just made a really, really good point is that at the end of this episode, it's not like he's pursuing his heart. Isn't this wonderful? It's a Ross and Rachel, I'm on a break from Friends. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely he is still engaged. They're just on a break. And what is he doing? Immediately making out with Chapel.
Yeah.
And I want that. I want to see them together. I love that for Spock because she's someone who, for a human, keeps all of her emotions inside. I think they're really well matched. I think they'd be really exciting. But he is still engaged. This is not okay.
We don't know Vulcan customs around that.
I'm pretty sure it means the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're about to find out what Vulcan customs are around that.
Yeah, there was a deleted scene back in the 60s when Spock told Chapel he's over her, and she's like, when were you ever under me? And yeah.
Nice. But it is a big step to take with a character like Spock, right? Like, this guy is a paragon of virtue and truth and button-downedness, I think is the proper term. And they're giving us a misstep, like a social misstep here, which we've seen Spock do before, but never to the detriment of more than one person's feelings. So, I mean, this has got to be setting up. I mean, I feel that it is probably setting up the relationship that we see, or lack thereof, between Spock and Chapel in TOS, right? Yeah. Something is going to happen, and either one or both of them is going to kind of swear the other one off, right? Like,
and there are some good calls about that.
There's a wall here. Yeah. Because I mean, to do this with a character we love, right, is a bit of a risk dramatically, because you want people to still love Spock, but he has made an obvious mistake here, right? And is it an understandable mistake? Yes. Does that make it an excusable mistake? No.
We're kind of getting that set up, though, the whole way through the episode, of him not being in control of understanding what love and emotions are. So when him and Chapel have that meeting in the hallway, and he gives her that awkward tap on the shoulder and a hug that is just the most bizarre thing. And she's so like, what the hell is this? But also I love it because he's touching me. Like, this is, I really felt in that moment that I'm more angry with Spock than I thought I would be, because he's going to claim innocence, and he's going to claim, I didn't know what I was doing. And he's fully aware. Yeah. Like, he wants to touch her. He wants to be close with her. He's attracted to her. He desires her. And he's going to give into those emotions. But I don't think he's going to own them, if that makes sense. I think he's going to end up blaming Chapel for them. And that's what's going to be the break. And again, I think that's where Ethan Peck is really kind of showing us this immaturity and kind of innocence in Spock. Yeah. So I'm angry with him, but I'm also going to be understanding of it. But I'm also angry about it.
Right. Oh, I think that's a perfectly human emotion to be like, totally get you, but it doesn't make it right. I know.
I'm guessing that means you'll keep watching just to see what happens, right? So there you go.
As if I'm chatting off.
Yes, I wonder if the working title of this episode was "The One with the Ponfar."
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I know one of our later callers kind of brings it up more, but I do wonder, Dr. Fern, going into that, if like someone later is going to ask like how we get to the Spock we see in TOS from this Spock. And maybe this is it. Maybe this is the start of him like learning to not like his human side and turning it off to the point where we see the Spock with Kirk in a few years being much more Vulcan.
Yeah. It could be. Yeah. And I think for me, it makes, I mean, obviously this whole episode, right? But this makes Christine so much more tragic. Like her story just hurts me, right? Like she's like, this is my friend, so here's what I should do to support a friend. And then she obviously is falling in love, and she's like, if I admit that will put pressure on him, and he's already got to think. Like, she's being so incredibly considerate as is. And then she's like determined to put Spock back to his difficult, not reactionary, maybe not in love with herself, right? Because she knows that's who he really is. And it's like, La'an has had a moment of, love ripped away from her this season. Now Christine has had a moment of love ripped away from her this season. Half the cast had their moments of love ripped away in episode 4. So, I mean, identity and connection are really strong themes through this whole season for us so far.
Yeah. But that said, I do feel like it would be justified if somewhere along on the bridge, somewhere in the second half of this season, we see Spock and Pike giving orders and everybody else on the bridge are being like, are you sure you don't want to take a break? You don't want to step back from this a little bit and wait, and before they, just both, because both of them have done like the last 2 episodes when Pike talks about commiseration is like, yeah, because you just went through this, like both of you guys, come on.
But I think the thing with Pike is we all saw that coming. We were like, yeah, you're going to be an idiot, but you're gonna get over yourself because obviously, how can you not fall in love with Space Winona Earp? I mean, it's just there's no other way that storyline could go. Yeah. But I think with Spock and Chapel, it is what Jesse says. It's so you can see the tragic coming. Mm-hmm. And I feel desperately, I want to see their story play out for a couple of episodes before we hit that, because I really just want to give her and him that space to have something like love, or because she is obviously in love with him. That's just a given. And I really don't want to see her have her heart broken totally really fast. Yeah. It's quite sadomasochistic. Like I want to see it. I want to see it play out for a bit longer.
Slowly. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we brought up Friends and some 90s references, because so does our next caller, who is a first-time caller to the Open Pike Night Stage. Let's welcome Grayson.
Hello, Open Pike people. My name is Grayson, also known as TV Guy Grayson. There used to be this little TV show called Seinfeld, and on one episode, the characters celebrate a made-up holiday called Festivus. The celebration includes a Festivus pole, a feast, feats of strength, the airing of grievances, and a Festivus miracle. Is this Vulcan meet the parents ritual pretty much that? Right? Pike makes a feast, which T'Pring's henpecked dad is fully into. Then, Spock must show his physical and mental strength by holding and carrying the scalding hot teapot, which, while painful, as evidenced by that sound when him and Amanda Grayson's hands hit it, is probably a little less so with the knowledge that there's a dermal regenerator waiting just a few decks away in sickbay. Then the airing of grievances. T'Pring is mean to Spock and tells him how much he sucks. And finally, the miracle. Nurse Chapel has the cure and the hypo spray to save the day. The only thing missing is the pole, which I could not manifest in my headcanon in any literal or figurative way, but maybe you guys can. At the end of the day, though, I love this episode. It was silly, kind of touching, and the characters said my name in it a bunch, which rocked. Thanks, guys.
All right, Grayson, thank you for joining us on the Open Pike Night Stage. What a great call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talk about making an entrance, man.
Yeah.
Jeez. I think the tallest thing I could find in this episode outside of Pike's hair was that tower of food that he made. That could be like a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, Grayson, I love you. You going to bring up Seinfeld on my Star Trek show? You're in, man. Like, that's all there is to it. And the airing of the grievances, right? Like, okay, how sweet is Amanda? Like, she just goes, you could visit more. Like, that's so nice.
Yeah, but also, how deadly is that? If you really think about it, it feels sweet, but actually, if you think about it, it's also quite deadly. But it's also kind of a deadly thing to say.
100%. But it's even still, it's like miles nicer than anything T'Pring says, right?
Yeah.
And even that, T'Pring takes issue with. She's like, and Amanda adds, and you could have more self-confidence, which is a sweet thing to say, right?
Yeah.
Like,
no, that
you
is
should
absolutely.
have more self-confidence because you're great.
The only bad thing about you is you don't know how good you are.
Yeah.
Right. Like, how, that's so nice. And then Pike's facial expressions during that scene, he's just like, wow, I don't want to be here for this.
That was the moment where I'm like, his inner monologue is, why did I agree to my quarters for this?
Yeah. It's like, I can't even go to bed right now. I just have to. What? I have a whole conference room. What the hell did I do this for?
I made you all this food and you're just ignoring it. I put the volcano up and all you're going to do is have a weird fight.
Just slumped in the background.
When Savette asks for more hors d'oeuvres and Pike just snaps and turns around and walks, I was like, thank you for giving that man some relief.
But I think this is, part of the lore of shows. And I love the fact that your caller has picked up on like a potential Seinfeld reference. Because I used to consult on a BBC and Amazon show called Ripper Street. And we'd done 2 seasons before I came on board, and I then did the following 3. And one of my favorite things about working on a show is you see all the Easter eggs that writers put in that are like personal to them, things that they love. And I do it in my own books as well, in that you put in these little things you don't know if people are going to pick up on or not. And when we see them in shows that we love and we can draw those connections, I just think it makes the show, I just think you connect more to it, weirdly. I don't know why, but it feels like it's more yours.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I got to be honest, you guys, I have great in-laws. So like for me, the entire trope has always like, it scared me before I got married because I was just like, this is going to be tough. Now, I will say I fully understand the pressure of, you know, wanting to impress your significant other's parents, because that pressure is mostly internal, right? Like for anybody. So having just an absolute back and forth that never stops. Like the clip of this episode is really quick, right? I really loved the when of the airing of the grievances, but I also really loved them preparing him for that. So when Amanda's like, she might, for instance, say this, and he immediately freaks out.
Oh, and they're all right.
Like, man, like it's just too relatable, right? Like, and then everybody tells him, dude, she hasn't started. Yeah. Like, she's giving you an example. And it's like, yeah, being human can be really overwhelming. And it's great to see something as fun as Star Trek acknowledge that. I mean, so brilliantly with a character like Spock.
Yeah. And I think it's a great time for us to play our little montage. And we're going to discuss Amanda Grayson, our space mom. Here we go.
And Mrs. Sarek, Mia Kirshner, dang, good to see you back. She was so patient with her newly human son.
Is it me, or was Amanda Grayson?
Pretty cool. It was really touching how she kind of explained everything she went through. And
Spock's moment with his mom at the end was so heartwarming. It reminded me of times as a young adult realizing the sacrifices my mom made for me.
Where's her BFF Pelia? We got to get that scene at some point, right? They set it up in the first episode.
I like how this episode developed the Amanda character more. This episode acknowledged the challenges she had as a human living on a planet of Vulcan. It was alluded to a couple of times in past Trek episodes, but I feel Charades did the best job bringing that point to the forefront.
Spock finally kind of saw her for what happened, and I guess he gets like this whole new level of respect for her, which was pretty cool. So
all she wanted was for him to be truly accepted.
I'm very happy that Spock finally acknowledged everything that Amanda had to sacrifice to adapt to Vulcan culture.
Mia Kirshner's facial expressions also contributed to making those scenes powerful.
Thank you to Michelle, Peter, Gerard, Platty, Newman, and Jen for helping contribute to that montage. I think this episode belongs to Amanda Grayson. I don't think it's a Spock episode. I don't think it's a Chapel episode. I think this might be one of the most touching parenthood episodes of Trek I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think apart from maybe Beverly Crusher, who else is the greatest mom?
Yeah.
If you want greatest moms of Star Trek, I think it would be Beverly and Amanda Grayson.
Yeah.
That, for me, are the two. And I think whenever Mia walks on a screen, you're instantly captivated. You know that whatever is going to happen, you're going to be glued to, because she's just one of those presences. She's not like forceful. She's so, in this role, she's so soft and she's so gentle, but she's absolute steel at the same time. And you can see she'd have, she would have to have been that on Vulcan. That's the only way a human could survive.
Her line about, being a human on Vulcan, I have learned to mask my pain. And it was like, she's holding the scalding hot thing, but she's not talking about that. She's talking about her pain inside. And it's like, I almost started crying right there, right? I was just like, oh, this woman, like, this truly is what she cares about, is her son, right? Like, she loves Sarek. We know that, but she cannot live without her son. And I mean, as somebody who, was raised by their mother as a single mother for a while, this whole episode really hits home with me, and especially his scene at the end when he's saying, like, I didn't even see your journey, and I apologize for that. Like, kind of made me want to call my mom, right? Like, I was like, I probably have some of that to do as well. But the performance here by Mia Kirshner, I have to agree with you, Fern. It's like, to have such a strong, like, bedrock presence without yelling at anybody, without any big dramatic movement. Like, when she confronts Spock in the transporter room and she goes, "Oh, what's with the hat?" And Pike goes, "It's standard issue. I totally have one too." And then he goes, "Maybe we should leave." She doesn't leave. She takes half a step forward and says, "Take off your hat."
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, you gotta, right? Like, you gotta do what your mom tells you to do. But she really does bring the gravity whilst managing to float through every frame.
I'll fully agree. Like, Mia Kirshner, when we were younger, was basically used as a sex object in most of the roles she was in for other shows and movies. I mean, she played the badass assassin Mandy in 24. I'm going to say that connects the universes. Amanda is definitely has some of that assassin in her still, but she gets to see her child as a human, as a different version, a more open version of himself for the first time ever. And she's thrilled. And then what does she have to do? Teach him how to be a Vulcan all over again. She's done this before. She's already trained him how to be a Vulcan and human. And now she has to do it again. And it's so loving. And she is there for the comedy. She's there for the tenderness. It is, I mean, I think this should be, an Emmy award-winning performance for her. Like, it's so good.
But we didn't get one of those stupid moments of them talking about how much she'd wished, did you wish I was human, or do you prefer me as... We didn't get any of that. There was none of that kind of questioning of her motherhood or questioning if her child should have been different. She loves Spock. She's there for Spock. She will do whatever it takes for Spock to be happy as he is. And I think that was a really clever, creative choice. Like, there's nothing cliched about how they do this relationship. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I love that last scene because, as you're saying, it's Spock's moment of realization that we've probably all had, maybe a little later than we should have, where like you see your parent as a parent, as a fellow adult, and I mean, it wasn't until I had kids where I really kind of viewed my parents like, oh, this is what you were thinking back then. That was not on my radar at all, even as a teenager, like that you were just a fellow human being with your own desires and wants and motives and everything. To her performance, I'm just going to point out the one, it's a small thing, but the speed with which she moves that teapot back to the thing it's a knife's edge. Like, any slower and you wouldn't believe it. Like, oh, it just doesn't hurt her. And any faster, it undercuts everything she just said. It's a small thing, but like, I just know, I picked up on that. I was like, wow, that was perfect.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm glad you mentioned it, Cameron, because I was going to say something similar about if I hadn't recently had my first child, and I say recently, she's 4. I still feel new at this. I don't know that I would have even appreciated that scene with Spock and having his mother tell him, I chose to share with you the first time that Vulcan children accepted you. I was immediately like, oh, I remember the first time my little girl walked up to somebody on the playground and said, do you want to play? And they said no. And I was like, I may strike a child that isn't even mine. Like, but then you breathe and you wait. And then, the next little girl says, yeah, let's go play. And you're like, the joy that you feel is just a different thing, right? It's a joy you didn't know you had capacity for. And to see that his mother's empathy is what has made their whole life work really made me reflect on my own family life, right? Like, oh, wow. Like I said, I should probably call my mom.
Yeah.
I think that it is that moment when she does the teapot, and like you said, Jessie, she says, I've learned to hide my pain. Everyone in the audience knew she wasn't talking about physical pain. Spock was completely oblivious and was only fixating on the idea of it being physical pain until the end of the episode, when he finally has this realization of everything that she's done and everything she's had to go through as a human. And it's just beautiful. They're kind of the nuances and the threads and how they bring it all together.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a definite parallel here. It's kind of like a skewed parallel, I guess, which makes it not a parallel. But to me, it reminded me of the scene in 2009 Star Trek movie where Spock turns down his acceptance to the Vulcan Sciences Academy, right? Because they're like, oh, you've made it in past our application process, even despite your handicap. And he's like, oh, actually, live long and prosper.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's kind of a mirror here where T'Pring rather is like, hey, even though you have this handicap, you've totally impressed me. So good job. And he throws that in her face, and his fiance is like, please, what are you doing? But his mom is just deeply touched, right? She is just staring at him like he's her hero in this moment. And it's a little much to talk about even.
And I do love that in the moment when he does reveal to T'Pring that he's currently human, the shot where he pulls his ears off, they made his ears look so fake in that one shot. Like you can see the plastic line. Like even that is funny. Even like just actual physical humor of doing the makeup badly just for that one shot. So I love it.
I think the meta joke of having the rubber ears, that he has to wear rubber ears, is one of my favorite things Strange New Worlds has done. It's again just a knife's edge of wink wink that Star Trek can sometimes get away with at this episode. I had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from another new caller on the Open Pike Night Stage. Here is Trev.
Hey guys, Trev here, first time caller, probably won't be my last. Just recently started listening to the show and really enjoy it. So thank you for the show and for giving us fans a voice as well. In regards to Charades, I really loved this episode. I tend to love whenever Trek goes the comedy route, and it's going to be interesting to see if this sets a trend of, is episode 5 of every season of Strange New Worlds going to be a Spock-focused comedy episode like this? I do have a question for you. This is what I'm most curious about. I'll try to keep it short. But I know there's a contingent of some Trek fans who are kind of bothered by Strange New Worlds' depiction of Spock and feel it doesn't quite match up to the Spock we see later in the original series and the movies, and they feel like there's too big of a disconnect there. And this episode certainly seems to have fed into that based on some of the polarizing response I've seen to it online. I tend to think the writers of Strange New Worlds know what they're doing and are playing the long game, so I was curious if you agree with me that what we see here with, this through line of Spock fighting against his human emotions, and in this episode obviously getting to experience them, and now especially the end with actually hooking up with Nurse Chapel, do you assume, like I do, that the long game here and where this is all heading is some kind of disastrous outcome to this relationship with Chapel? Like it's going to have a really heavy falling out at some point, whether later this season or in a later season. And that's actually going to be the catalyst to eventually lead Spock to kind of turn more away from the human side of him and then lead into the Spock we catch up with in the original series. That's where I see it heading. And honestly, that doesn't bother me at all. I think that's a really good way to reconcile this more impulsive, brash human Spock with the Spock we get in the original series. All right. Thanks again, guys.
I thank you, Trav, for calling in. And our friend Peter also made a point about that, whether, with the alternate universe, there's the same universe question of where we are in Strange New Worlds. I think we're going to have this conversation for all of Strange New Worlds are they aiming for our characters that we know to be exactly who we see in the Man Trap? Like, are we getting to that point? Will the last episode of Strange New Worlds be a remake of the Man Trap, or are they just trying to do good characters? Are they like, do they care that much? I suppose. And it's, what do you guys think? Like, you think we'll ever?
I'm now
answer
having
this?
a panic they're going to kill Nurse Chapel. I'm now having a panic. It's like, as the massive tragic thing that's going to destroy, because I don't want that to happen.
Yeah,
I could see them killing her and bringing her back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and him being Spock's fault.
Mm. Mm.
And then him deciding that he can't do love with people, with humans.
And if she doesn't remember it, that's why he turns her away during the original series so much. Yeah.
Okay, that could be amazing. That could be horrific.
I feel like we're in the writer's room right now.
Right?
Let's put that up on the big board.
Yeah. Also,
do we think that we're going to go? Do we think we're going to go as far as T'Pring and Spock's betrothal being broken by T'Pring? Are we allowed to do spoilers for people who don't know the lore?
Yeah, you can do 40-year-old spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So doesn't T'Pring fall in love with someone else? Stop. Ston. Yeah, there's another guy that T'Pring meets, and that's how the betrothal get ranked. Do we think we're going to see that play out, or is it going to be more Spock and Nurse Chapel?
I think that Ston was in season 1. I think he works at Ankashtan Katil, which I will remind you is not a prison. I believe one of the
not a prison.
I don't know if he was. Yeah, and I don't know that his name was said out loud, but I believe he was credited as Ston. So, a friend from work?
Yeah. He's that coworker. He's there working on her all the time.
Are you sure Spock appreciates you?
Oh, he couldn't make it back for shore leave again.
Hey, I made some food. You want to share this? I cooked it myself.
Vulcan food.
Your
mom really likes me.
Yeah.
But I think, it's a valid point because, we know specifically, and I agree with this 100%, that Akiva and Henry, Goldsman and Alonzo Myers, both feel that story trumps canon. Okay? I agree with that. I think that's the correct path to take. However, they both also have a massive respect for everything that has come before them, and they know they wouldn't be here without that, right? And I really feel that everything we've seen up to this point that does address something specifically from TOS has been done respectfully and has expanded on it. Now, obviously opinions on that will differ, but I feel that they have kind of set that goal for themselves, right? Like, let's bump against canon where we have to, and, let's disregard it if we need to. But I can't really even point to too many instances, maybe outside of the Gorn, where they went, don't worry about the canon on that. Because everything else has little hints and Easter eggs, like you were saying, Fern, that shows that they know exactly what they're doing. They put Spock in a beanie in this episode, right? Like, that's a great callback to TOS. That's the easiest way to hide just the top of your ears. Like, and they had a backwards delta on it, just like sometimes the deltas were backwards in TOS.
It's meant to be seen in your rearview mirrors.
Yeah.
I've definitely wondered about this because it would be interesting if, 50 years from now, if you watch the series chronologically, like Spock would have a very strange arc. You would be introduced to him just batshit crazy because of time travel or something. I forget the exact technobabble there. Then he gets super logical. Then he seems to find himself. Then he seems to struggle with this humanity side, kind of erring on the humanity side. Then suddenly he's very Vulcan with his new Captain Kirk. And then he slowly starts showing cracks and kind of becomes the Spock I most iconically associate with, which is from the movies. And then in TNG, suddenly he's super Vulcan again. And then in the Kelvinverse, he's kind of back to that movie Spock. So, like, this dude goes on a journey.
All over the place.
Yeah. So, but I think we've kind of stumbled into, it's going to take, you can get him to the Spock we see in TOS, but it's going to take something big. It's going to take something drastic to kind of get him to rubber band back towards the Vulcan side. And we've thrown out a few good options here. I think that's what the writers are doing.
Yeah, he also does die twice in that journey, Cam.
It's true. Yeah. It's fair. That's fair. Yep.
Well, this is an argument I've had with friends before. Is Star Trek actually Spock the main character?
Spock or Worf, I would say, yeah.
Well, and I mean, he's the character that ties everything together, right? Like, Equality of Mercy showed us that the Star Trek universe doesn't function without Spock.
Yep.
And beyond that, it's like his character really, I mean, part of the reason we get episodes like this, right, is because it's aspirational for a lot of us to not be ruled by emotions, right? And to be able to think clearly in a stressful situation. Okay, well, what's the logical thing for me to do here? Like, that's an aspirational goal for a lot of people, and to have a character that you can so easily weave all these different storylines into and have it work because of who he is and make it relatable because of how well he is acted. I mean, I think that's a really good point. Spock is arguably the main character of Star Trek writ large.
Yeah.
Got me convinced.
Okay, I just won, so I'm very happy with that. That's me.
You let your friends know that the Strange New Worlds podcast has agreed with you.
Exactly.
Yes, I will. And that's the end of the debate. That's it. I'm done.
All right, let's hear from our third new caller for the evening. Here is David.
What an episode of Strange New Worlds that was. Why did I like it? I enjoyed it because it's the side of Spock we've never really seen. We saw glimpses of it in Voyage Home, the original series as well too, in that episode where they all get attacked by those plants. You know, they lose their caring and they opened up and stuff like that. It was great. I thought it was Ethan Peck's best episode yet. Shout out for Gia Sandhu, man. She's been fantastic. I'd love to see her as a villain in Trek if they ever go that route and give her that opportunity. Yeah, definitely a bang-up episode. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you, David, for calling in. And yeah, T'Pring is the straight man of this episode, like the one who doesn't get to have any comedy moments, and I think she held her own so well. What?
Do we think she didn't have, because she has, when Spock laughs at her joke that was not a joke but he took as a joke because he's now human, that was one of the funniest moments for me.
Also, when she steps off the transporter pad and says, "I just spent 2 days with my mother."
I just got
Oh, okay, that's true. But
heavy Luoxana vibes.
Yes. Yeah. But she is the, okay, I'd say not straight,
but she's not as
she is the one who's put upon. She is more
she's not in on the joke.
She's never in on the jokes. And it is, I mean, by the end of the episode, it kind of becomes tragic because she does make that really good point of like, everybody but me knew this. Literally everybody on the ship.
To Spock's defense, he didn't trust everyone else. They just knew. Like, they knew before he had a choice. Like, he didn't say, "Come on in, everyone. I've got something to tell you."
Right, but he did ask the ship's communications officer how to be himself instead of his fiance.
That's true.
I'm not
really to his defense. I'm just semantics.
Well, and it's and it does add to T'Pring's character to show that she actually really does accept Spock, right? Like, she's fine with who he is. She loves who he is. But this episode feels like Spock maybe realizing he doesn't love T'Pring, because he's like, every time something with her comes up, he's like, "Oh, can we delay that?" Or like, "Oh, are you sure it needs to be right now?" But even, the moment she's like, "Maybe we should take a break," he's like, "Okay, I gotta go see Chapel," right? So, because he gets in touch with his true feelings in this episode, and then he acts on them. So to me, it's almost like he is realizing, like, yes, I know T'Pring, and we have this engagement and this arrangement, but I don't feel the way about her that I feel about Chapel. And I'm not saying that makes it okay. I feel like he's realizing that in this episode.
I have a different take on T'Pring. And I think that Spock is her rebellion against her mum. So we always talk about her, like, we've like often online, it's like, oh, she's so in love with him. What if it's not? What if Spock is just her teenage style rebellion? Because he's not fully Vulcan, like, it's going to cause a lot of issues. She's so accepting of him, but she's always challenging him. She's always, and not in like a fun way. I think personally, this whole episode made me see their relationship in a very different light. So when it does finally end, I don't think she's going to be as heartbroken as someone who was completely in love with him and did completely accept him as he was.
Now, that's amazing.
That's just my take on it.
That is such a great take.
Now, I know that our listeners have been waiting for this episode to be called Charades since writer Onitra Johnson teased us with the word charades last year.
Yep.
But I kind of wonder if it went through a stage where it was called Guess Humans Coming to Dinner.
I love the title Charades. Charades is a great title for this
It's literally
episode.
perfect.
Yeah, they got that one right. Yeah, no, I mean, I was saying, like, last season, I kind of got on board with the Spock T'Pring relationship. I really wanted them to work out, despite all evidence to the contrary. But no, I mean, that's a good point. I do love, like, because you can see her mother slipping out of her in Spock Amok when she comes in and criticizes this room. Like, that's totally her being her mom without realizing she's being her mom. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? This is making me think Stan might actually be really chill and like fun to play charades with. Like I don't know. Maybe we should give Stan a chance.
There's a bumper sticker.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan Peck does put in, a lot of people have talked about his performance. He puts in a great performance. I mean, just to show the range, he pulls an Agent Smith when he talks about the stench of humans.
Yeah.
He pulls an Ivan Drago when he wants to break Sam Kirk. And then, of course, there's the great line where he goes, it is, as your former President Biden would say, a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
So he's doing a lot of impersonations this episode.
He is. Yeah, it's like, okay, obviously, he's got acting in his genes, literally, but like, man, like Ethan Peck is going to be right up there with Gregory Peck when it comes to actual star power. It's like, yeah, man,
Question.
You can bring it.
Do you guys think that Ethan Peck's time spent playing young Michael Kelso on that 70s show helped prepare him for this episode of Star Trek?
He kind of is, yeah. I would say that's like he definitely has some Kelso in him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
This is the sitcom episode.
Yep, this is this is the most sitcom Star Trek episode I think I've ever seen, and
when
I
he
love it.
like almost started crying out of gratitude when Mbenga goes, "We're gonna do whatever we can." He's like, "Seriously, that's so nice of you." Like, it's just like, man, I love this guy.
Yep.
Like, I really love this guy, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Like,
But it also doesn't feel that detached for me from Leonard Nimoy.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Like I can see that in every part of Ethan Peck's performance, I can see Spock coming towards us. I can see that version.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't, even though it feels totally his own, and I do think that he has this like innocence and naivety to Spock and lack of self-assuredness. I can see that he can play it, and we might get there towards the end, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Season 7. Give me 7 seasons of this show.
Yep.
Yes, please.
Which would equal less than 3 seasons worth of episodes of the old shows. It's like, we got to get longer seasons.
It would
At
also
least a
be
full season of Chapel and Spock as a happy couple, please. A full season.
Oh, that leads really well into our next call, actually, asking that question. Here's Jack.
Hello, it's me, Jack, from 2 Minute Trek. And last time I was on Open Pike, before we get started into what my question for you guys is about this episode, great episode, by the way, is last time I was on here, I said that I would tell you my favourite episode of Star Trek. And my favourite episode of Star Trek is probably The Illusion Kingdom from last season. So there you go. I know you've been waiting long and hard for that. And my question for you guys is, who do you want Spock to be with? To Pring or Chapel? Or Kirk? Definitely. I want Kirk personally. But I want to know what you guys think. So thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Jack. Asking a question. I don't know, has anybody ever asked this question in the history of Star Trek before? Ever?
I'm glad somebody finally did.
Well, I think you have good taste in episodes, Jack, is first of all.
Yeah, great taste in a favorite episode. Elysian Kingdom is fantastic.
Yeah.
For our listeners, our guest Fern has one of those libraries with all the spines of her books turned backwards. And while I know some people do that whimsically as a sex researcher.
This is not whimsical. This is the part of the pile for my next book. And I have to keep it a secret.
Oh.
So when I knew I was going to be doing this, I have all of my books next to me when I'm writing, and I was like, "Oh shit, I've got to turn around." It's literally just to disguise everything from you guys.
Well, I think
so that no one can know what I'm doing.
I think all we can hope for is sex lessons from Star Trek and unauthorized exploration of 60 years of really avoiding talking about sex on a TV show. So,
is there not enough sex? Is there? Because that's the thing about the end of this episode is, and one of the reasons why I got cross with Spock is he's so excited for Chapel. He's declaring his feelings without actually, I've got feelings for someone else. She's standing right in front of you. She's literally right there. Just be a man and be honest about it. And then the kiss, and he's like, what's happening? She's like, oh, shut up, it doesn't matter. And then they move backwards. And everyone knows in TV land what that move backwards means. They've had a very nice time. If we're opening the next episode with them getting out of bed, that would make a lot of sense to most of us who are watching that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the things about Trek for me is sex is one of the things that they are really good at is building up the romance and the anticipation. And then they just press fast forward.
Yeah.
So we then get like established relationships and we don't see that moment of kind of first like proper first intimacy, let's say. Maybe we're going to get that more with Spock and Chapel. I don't know. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking about this because Spock, he is possibly the most shipped character in the history of people writing fan fictions. Is Spock the universal I can fix him kind of character? Like, does everybody see this guy and think, oh, he's so almost there. I know that I can be the one. If he's just in this relationship, I could be the one who makes him fully aware of his power and like fully be himself and free. And it kind of feels like that to me.
Okay, I think the reason why people get so excited about Spock is that he's very controlled. His emotions are under check, but you also know that Vulcan emotions are so huge that when he lets loose, it's going to be the greatest sex of your life.
Vulcan in the street, human in the sheets.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That is the implication of Spock, and I think of all Vulcans, and I think that's kind of what the attraction is. Not so much that you could fix him, but that he's someone who is not going to do what he has done, which is run off the moment you're on a break and snog someone else. Like, that's the ultimate thing he should never have done. So I think the pushback on that from online and from fans is fascinating because it's broken that belief that Spock is not the I can fix him guy, but he's the perfect guy. He's the guy whose emotions you can fully trust and fully depend on, who's also going to be crazy just for you. And that's now being challenged a bit by this version of Spock that we're seeing because he's a teenager. He's learning how to be the adult, and he's going to fuck up really badly. And we're all going to have to sit and witness it.
I feel like they're putting him and possibly T'Pring and possibly Chapel on a collision course with Sybok, right? Because Sybok is, I mean, they showed us Sybok that he had his Thanos moment in season 1. But I mean, his entire being is share your pain, and I wish that my people would be more honest with themselves, right? Like he says in the movie, he's like, my people used to be this way, and this way. And one of the things he lists there is that they made love with passion. So it sounds like Sybok is like, you know, even Vulcan marriages are pretty buttoned up, right? Like maybe they have sex as a function of being together, not because they want to, or they're totally doing it because they want to, but they're lying to themselves. So they're not really having the best sex that they could, right? So I feel like there's no way out of the triangle without running into Sybok, and they already gave us Sybok. So I feel like that might be where this is headed. I'm so interested to see how this house of cards starts to fall.
Yeah. Well, and Angel's a hopeless romantic, so you know they would tie right into this
Captain
too,
Angel,
in their relationship with Sybok. So
this could be Either way, it just seems like dating Spock is a hairy prospect. So anyway,
it's going to be so traumatic. It's going to be so awful.
I'm sorry, Jack. I can't really answer your question because I know that it ends badly for both of them. And the more TOS I watch and movies I revisit, I'm kind of getting more on the Spirk bandwagon. So.
Spock never has kids. We see from the beginning to the end of his life, and as so far, he's never had kids. He never marries. So like, yeah, I mean, if we're going to like focus just on what we've seen instead of possibilities, like, is he just, you know, going to be clinically tragic and lonely? And maybe, you know, there are people who love being wistfully but distant in love with as many people as possible through their lives, but being right up close to somebody and actually forming a healthy relationship is terrifying.
He's married to his work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, the love of Spock's life is Starfleet.
Yeah.
I mean, he deeply, truly believes in everything that Starfleet is. And we know that even through the future, his character is about unity. His character is about healing. And I mean, that could come about through a lot of pain. And I think it really does. I mean, we've said this before about Strange New Worlds. It legitimately adds depth to the characters that we see in TOS to know that this other history is there, right? At the beginning of the motion picture, we see Spock finally deciding to go through Kolinar, and then he can't because his curiosity is piqued. He's like, I gotta go do the adventure. Sorry. Like, I can't, I gotta have my emotions for this. And I will also point out that by that point, Chapel is an MD. So we know there's going to be some long separation between these two that ends with one of them going, I don't want to have emotions. And the other one going, I'd like to be a doctor.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear from our next caller, Platty, returning to the Open Pike Night Stage.
Hello, man, and Dr. Fern Riddell. This is Platty calling in with my weekly hits, shits, misses, and King's College bit. So, hits this time. Completely Chef Pike. His dedication to making foreign food totally just matches my own. I only wish I had someone as enthusiastic about trying all my food as that joyful yet subservient father-in-law. Background Anson Mount is just amazing. I loved him as Pike just taking that long drink during the airing of grievances with the look on his face. Loved his whole charades bit. And when he just jumped up and snapped his fingers when Savette wanted seconds. Oh, that was perfect. Shits.
Yes,
Platty. Come on, Sam. You're the only one with a freaking muffin at that meeting. Can you not just eat breakfast beforehand or maybe go with something less crummy? Human Spock wasn't there spreading bacon bits around during briefings. And what the heck, Spock? You go over there and you just toss the crumbs on the floor.
Agree.
Oh, what a mess. Yeah. All right, misses. Lots of misses this week. I'm so sad we missed seeing human holy words charades. I mean, I thought Pike and Savette were down to play. And sad we missed Pelia being there to meet up with her. And okay, Dr. Riddell, as a fellow King's College London alumni, can I ask you what we're supposed to call ourselves? Are we Kings? Are we Reggies? Are we Copper Lions? And were you ever in the round reading room at the Mon Library? And have you been lied to about its Harry Potter and Da Vinci Code movie links? Because I sure have, and have had to read clickbait articles to learn the truth. All right, this is Platty signing off.
There's a lot there.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. Okay, let's right. Firstly, Pelia. I need more of her in my life.
Yeah.
They must be planning something for the two of them. This can't be the last time we see Amanda Grayson.
It better not be. Yeah.
I need that to be kind of backstoried or fully realized or just some sort of adventure that we have to tag along for. That I think is something that we really deserve as kind of as an audience desperately.
Yeah.
And in terms of the King stuff, I have no idea, absolutely no idea what we're supposed to call ourselves. But I'm also alumni of Royal Holloway, where Da Vinci Code was filmed. So that's my kind of, I do have an actual connection to that in that way. So that's as far as I can go with that.
I love the point about brushing the crumbs on the floor. Cause the eating didn't bug me, but that bugged the hell out of me. Yes, of course they have Trek Roombas or whatever, the little ship repair drones from Discovery. Something will clean it up, but it's like Spock. And then it's like, yeah, but that was before he turned into a teenager. So I'm still kind of aghast at him. If it had been, if he had done that as a kid where it's like, yeah, I'll put the dishes away, but I'm going to dump my food all over the floor while I do it. Like that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that it works because he's so not used to, his feels, as it were. It's perfectly hypocritical of a teenager going through puberty. Like you said, John, I cleaned it up. Right.
Yeah.
But
he wasn't there yet in that scene.
Yeah. He was still
Spock.
He was still regular Spock. And when he brushed it off the table. Yeah.
But that's my point is that humanity is always in Spock.
Yeah.
Right. Like he always has those feelings. So even if he's not yelling about the muffin, he hates the muffin and he is angry with Kirk for bringing it to the table, right? Like,
which is funny because
really,
his voiceover is saying, with learning to suppress, like suppressing those feelings is working. And it's like, you're being super passive aggressive right now, by the way.
Do we think we're going to get a Captain Pike cookbook?
I want a whole cooking show, cooking with Captain Pike.
How have they not just done that?
Yeah. Like I have one Trek cookbook already. There's got to be a Pike cookbook coming.
That's
I
down
need
the Pike.
that. I really need that in my
Pike,
life.
Down the Pike.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, Anson Mount likes to cook. Like that's part of why they gave that to the character, right? Is because when they first met Anson, he was cooking a meal or something along those lines. So I feel like it would be one of the biggest ever missed opportunities for tie-in merchandise if they don't do a cookbook, or do 5-minute videos where Anson Mount teaches me to make pasta mama or whatever this Vulcan dish is. Like, why? And I'm sure the answer is because Anson Mount don't have time for that. Like, he's a A-list
He would make
movie
time.
star.
He would make time.
Yeah.
It's not something that I don't think should be asked of him, because I think it would become the most popular thing on Paramount Plus.
Yeah. If you're not doing the short treks, do that.
Yeah,
you had mentioned the voiceover, John. I do want to quickly just touch on like the whole opening, the match cuts they do, the efficiency of storytelling that happens in those first 5 minutes. I love the handoff of the voiceover in the turbo lift from Chapel to Spock. It's done so well. I think there's a lot of really good filmmaking technique in this episode, and can't wait for you all to listen to our interview with the director at the end of this.
Yeah.
And Cameron, I noticed you didn't bump on the opening credits showing up like 14 minutes into the episode.
Well, I didn't know if I was going to bring it up. As much as I love those first 10 minutes, you could cut them. I mean, the episode doesn't need them. You could start with Spock going into the shuttle, and then everything you need is there, but
right.
It's so good. I wasn't going to complain now. Yeah. It's a long time though.
Yeah. And like we're an hour and a half in, we do need to talk about Chapel because she is the entire other half of this episode. I'll start it off before we get to our next caller. I think this is the first time we are seeing the Love Me Spock type Chapel we saw in the original series. The desperation with which she searches for a cure. It's like, oh, there it is. There's what we remember seeing of standing outside his door and getting abused during his ponfar. Like there is the deeper feeling, not just a little bit here and there. It's like, okay, Chapel is starting to, come more into line with TOS if that's what they're trying. But I do love her story in this.
So I have seen some discourse online about how for some people the chemistry just doesn't seem to be there between Spock and Chapel. And I got to ask how you guys feel about that, because I don't know what those people are talking about. Like, I see that there's
a type of chemistry, I would say.
Right, but it's like a restrained desire, right?
Yeah.
And but it's so there, and it's like right under the surface. Like, it does feel kind of teenage, right? Because it's like it's unsure and it's a little shaky, or very shaky at times.
Well, for me, it's like from the outside,
I think the chemistry is totally there.
Yeah, well, it's a couple you look at and you go like, they shouldn't be together. They should not be together, but they both want to be together, and it's not going to end well. But there's it's a very specific type of chemistry, and I think I think they got it.
Oh, Cam, I completely disagree with you. They should totally be together.
Oh, really?
For me, like, I think they are a really good match because I think she's very reserved. I think she's very strong in her sense of self. And I think she is very in control of her feelings in a way that as a Vulcan, he would respect and he would respond to. Because the one thing you are not going to put Spock with is someone who is like all over the place with their emotions, just overexcited or sad or happy. He just would not deal with that. Whereas I can see him finding a way to understand and connect and empathize with Chapel because she has more of that restraint. And I think the thing that is so heartbreaking for me when we watch definitely the early half of that episode, where she's so desperately like, please just talk to me or make it okay, because it's so weird and I feel so much, but I can't be the person to step forward and start that conversation. I need you to start the conversation. That, I think, is beautiful. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm British and we're quite dumb with our feelings. It was a very kind of recognizable situation to me. I was like, yeah, that feels horribly familiar.
But Dr. Fern, to push back, what is the first thing he does when he allows those feelings for Chapel to take over? He does something you don't agree with. He breaks off his break and immediately runs to her and snogs someone while he's still engaged. Like, that's the toxicity I'm talking about. And we just
You're saying they shouldn't be together because of
he's
the
a man
situation.
married to his work. Like, this is never going to work out.
No, I think one of the reasons why when we see him do this thing that I'm really cross about him and I'm not going to forgive, is this going on a break and immediately going to chapel. Or was he? We know that he was walking out of the door, but it's his quarters. She's walking in.
Right.
So we don't actually know what his next step was. She's the one who takes the step to be like, I'm here, and I'm obviously going to make some sort of declaration or do something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, again, it's showing kind of the immaturity of Spock.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this had happened in a couple of years, maybe he would have been able to say to Pring, actually, this has to be done completely. Or maybe Vulcan society just doesn't work in that way. Maybe he needs to Pring to be the one to break the engagement to be totally free. And in a perfect world, him and T'Pring would have totally split up. He would have been free to pursue Chapel. They would have been very happy for as long as she was alive. End of story. That's my version of Star Trek and this story that I like to see. We're not going to get it. It's going to be an absolute car crash because, again, what I love so much about Strange New Worlds is we're dealing with characters in their infancy. They're going to fuck up. They're going to make terrible decisions that from the original series they would never have made, because that's what, humans, even though not everyone is a human, that's what we do as people in life when we're experiencing things. We figure out how to be. And so much of Strange New Worlds, with kind of Captain Pike sort of shepherding all of the rest of his crew through these terrible situations and these lived experiences, is people learning to become who they're going to be.
Like, looking at the two of them, at Spock and Chapel, I see what they portrayed in this episode. I'm like, there are a minimum of 7 breakups between these two in the future. Just from life experience, I'm like, this is not going to be, there will be good discussions, but there are 7 breakups at minimum coming for these two over the next several years.
Well, and that a happy Spock-Chapel relationship would be just as devastating to the galaxy as if Pike had remained captain of the Enterprise and met the Romulans. It can't be.
I do have to agree with Fern, though, that I think this is a great couple setup, right? Because they're sort of mirrors, right? Like having, and we see in this episode that Chapel is very determined. She's incredibly smart. She's, outstanding in her field. And she's trying to keep her emotions under the surface, even though everybody around her is like, dude, you love Spock. Everybody knows that you love Spock. It's plain as day on your face. And they're doing the same thing with Spock. They're like, dude, you love logic. You don't move the muscles in your face. This is just how you are. Like, the rest of the crew is begging these people to just live their truth. And they're like, I don't know if I can do that because of me, right? Not because of, there are external pressures, of course, but the biggest roadblock for both of them is themselves. And I kind of hadn't seen those parallels so clearly personally until this episode, because up to this whole time I was like, oh, they've got Chapel interested in Spock because she liked him in TOS. Like I wasn't really drawing the lines, but then I was like, oh no, these are both scientists who are consummate professionals who have told themselves, I don't have time for feelings, And I gotta say, it was a very small moment when Chapel was talking to M'Benga, and she goes, hey, none of your experimental stuff is gonna work. I immediately thought of Rukia and was like, how dare you say that to M'Benga's face? Like, I got up and I got like a little excited, and I was like, "That's really mean." But I realized that's not what they're saying. They're saying like they're showing her laser focus, you know. And Mbenga supports her.
Yeah.
I mean, Mbenga has some great moments in this episode too, even though he's not all over it. I mean, he really
smile
does
on
a
the
great
turbo
job.
lift.
Yeah,
So
just
good.
okay. Yeah.
And
What's
the shaking
happening
of
to
the
these
head.
two? Yeah, like you say, Jesse, everyone knows but them. To that mirroring effect, like, and to John's point, like, Chapel doesn't get as much screen time as Spock, but they both do have great arcs and similar arcs, right? Spock has always been like, okay, I have these feelings for her, but that's just my weird human side. Like, and I don't like my human side. And my Vulcan side knows I need to be with T'Pring. So he's been ignoring that. He's been ignoring that voice in his head. And then becoming human, like, was just a flood of just those emotions. And then when he came back, he's like, and realized how strong his mother, the human, is. He's like, oh, maybe I should listen to my human side more often. Meanwhile, Chapel, who has always had a fear of commitment, who thinks she like screws up every relationship she's with, and again, professional, doesn't think she can be with Spock for all these reasons, and both of them have to learn to ignore all that bullshit, which was, yes, as John said, Pike's arc in the last episode, and you could probably argue some of La'an's arc in the episode before that. Is this the season of people learning to not be so self-destructive with relationships they want to be in? Is that the arc of season 2?
Oh.
It seems so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Identity and love.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's hear from Michelle, and then we can talk more about that and self-destruction in this episode.
Hey, Open Pike Night. I had a good time with this episode. I thought Ethan Peck and Anson Mount were hilarious and on point with their timing. Also, justice for Amanda. I loved seeing her again. And that teapot scene, oof. It really feels like Vulcans don't like humans so much. And maybe I can see where Dr. McCoy was coming from a little bit in TOS now. But apparently that was a thing in Enterprise, which I haven't seen, so maybe I need to catch up on that. But I did love the team-ups, like Ortega's, Chapel, and Uhura. Covertly stealing a shuttlecraft was great. I did not love the Spock and Chapel of it all. To me, Spock is being a bad boyfriend. T'Pring said they needed space, not that they were breaking up. That's a serious relationship, and you just fall right into Chapel. Didn't love that. Also, I know some people found certain elements of this episode problematic, especially the main plot point of Spock's Vulcan and human sides and how that was portrayed. I can't say I clocked that on my watch, but I think maybe it's a conversation we need to have after hearing other people's thoughts. The Crusher connection this week, archaeological medicine. I'm sure that Beverly's aware of it and studied it because Picard loves archaeology. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Till next time, live long and prosper.
Thank you, Michelle. And the Ortegas, Uhura, Chapel team up. What I mean, it's sadly, I think, is the thing that people focus on the least from this episode, and even that's an amazing little sequence.
Guys, how have we gotten this far into the episode without mentioning the words yellow or blue?
And the Krakovian. We haven't talked about the Krakovians.
Yeah.
The
They're
Krakowians.
so cool.
But again, is this not a massive Easter egg for you guys? This is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
It does.
That's the moment it came on, I was like, this feels like another sci-fi homage to a previously much loved show, because it's that whole thing, restitution. Was it restitution?
Remediation.
Yeah.
But it has been remediated. No complaints have been lodged. I was like, this is
that's
perfect.
a great point.
That's a great connection.
This is so Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Previous guest Bill Wolkoff referred to it as a farce, and I was like, oh yes, that's what this is. It's a farce, and that's also what kind of let me get over some of the broadness with Spock. Like, yeah, just have fun with it. That's what this is.
Yeah. And we had been talking before. We were talking yesterday. So Spock and Chapel both died in that first shuttle accident. They just put her back together, right? Which means Chapel died twice in this episode and got brought back, and so did Uhura, Ortegas.
Well, they do address it when they're actually in the I'm going to call it a room, because she's like, are we dead? Like, if you told me I was dead, I would believe you. But I think it's not super clear On
I
the
think they
second
made
trip,
it into the room.
I
yeah.
don't think. Yeah, I don't
but in
think
the
they
first
die
trip,
on.
I think they both die.
Yeah. This episode opens with two main characters getting obliterated. Yeah.
Kind of like at their own fault, right? Like, let's drive the shuttle toward the space-time anomaly and then be surprised when we get sucked into
Finding
it. Like,
rifts in space-time in Star Trek is like finding a $20 bill on the sidewalk in real life. Like, it doesn't happen all the time, but you're not amazed when it does.
Doesn't not happen. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's
But again,
enough.
that's kind of the kind of the Douglas Adams of it all for me. Of the, they did drive, they just drove, they crashed into it, and the Cacodians were like, "Whoops, okay, well you did that wrong.
Like,
There, we're just going to
right.
put you there, and we're just not going to think about it. You little idiots, carry on with your day." Like, I think the thing I really, really love about the whole Strange New Worlds universe is you don't have to just love Star Trek. Like, you can love any sci-fi and it's going to find a way to kind of touch your soul and give you things that you remember. And that I think it's just really, I think Cameron, this is the thing that you would have seen online. And because I was saying, when I first sat down and I watched Strange New Worlds, it felt like original Star Trek because I was so captivated and I was so taken away by these amazing relationships and fantastic characters. And it just felt so brilliant and new and fresh and like being a child again when I was watching it. And that, I think this episode is just another step of that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
And it is really very original series feeling episode, and then also just Uhura and Ortegas both being like, "Oh, come on, just talk to the interdimension. If you can't tell an interdimensional being how you feel, who can you tell how you feel?"
Well, and for me, the other, there's two moments that I want to be sure that we touch on from the entire comedy aspect and the relatability aspect. One of them being, could I have seen Ortegas take a bite from the burger, please?
Yeah.
Like, ow. That hurt. Yeah. Like, that was Chekhov's burger. They gave me this gorgeous looking sandwich, and she's just amazing? About to eat it. And then she just sets it down, and they're like, "Let's get it." I'm like, no, eat first, then save. Like,
and that whole bar they were in, like, that scene, like, where are you guys? Is this on the ship? Is this like some kind of theme party night at the 10 forward of this Enterprise?
It's the port galley.
It's gotta be, yeah.
And the scene where Spock is like losing it laughing, right? And he squeezes in his arm. I for sure thought there was going to be a moment of her just like peeling his fingers off because we know that she's the strongest person at this table right now, right? Yep. Spock is fully human. He's got nothing on Una. I really thought there was going to be a like, hang on here, buddy.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like a slap or like a push and him just going flying. That's what I needed in that moment.
And he would have, like, it would have fit so well, right? Like, you're caught up in the moment, you get slightly too familiar, and you need to be put in check. Like, that's everybody who has ever gone through puberty has had that moment.
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple calls left. Yeah. Let's hear from Zoe.
Open Pike Night. This is Commander Zoe Richardson, acting captain of the USS Cinema, host of Backlook Cinema, the podcast. And I wanted to share my thoughts with the latest episodes, Charades of Strange New Worlds. And I got to tell you, I'm super impressed with Ethan Peck's portrayal of Mr. Spock. It's just incredible. It's not something that I've seen before. Like, you imagine, there have been different portrayals of what Spock looks like when he's fully emotional, but not really as he would be fully human. And I feel like this is not something that I've seen before. And the choices that Peck made were unexpected and enjoyable. So I also liked that Nurse Chapel literally asked for the manager. That was one of my laugh out loud moments. And then I liked how the aliens that she was speaking to had asked, "Who is he to you?" referring to Spock. Like, if you're not a family member, who is he to you? And she didn't want to say. And Uhura had kind of looked at her and was like, "Girl, you better tell him." Because they already know. They already know the deal between Chapel and Spock. Altogether, this was a very enjoyable episode. Richardson out.
All right. Before we talk a little more, I am saying Open Pike Night officially confers the rank of full captain to Backlook Cinema, to the USS Cinema, to Zoe Richardson. You are no longer acting captain, sir. You are the full-fledged captain of your own podcast.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I'm really glad that you brought that scene up, because I love how Chapel is just as teenaged as Spock is in a couple of scenes in this episode. And one of them is when she holds her finger up and says, "Please turn around so I can talk about my feelings."
Yeah.
And Uhura rolls her eyes and then turns completely around. Ortegas does what I do when somebody asks me to do that, which is turn sideways so that my ear is pointing at the conversation instead of my eyes, right? Like, I'm not looking, go ahead. It really adds such a subtle layer to the friendship of these three characters that makes it so believable, right? Like, there's some frustration here. Like, yes, I love you, I support you, let's go get your boyfriend back, but like, just be easy, man. Like, chill out. Like, I'm just trying to eat this burger, and yes, I'm going to listen to your feelings because I love you and we're friends, and that's what friends do. And it's, I mean, the absurd nature of that moment is really grounded by the relationship that these three characters have, and I love it.
I stole a shuttle and flew into interdimensional space. You can talk about how you're crushed. Like,
yeah, I'm risking my entire career for you for a crush. So please, at least accept the crush.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
But I think that's kind of one of this show's strengths of, especially in that montage at the start, throughout all of this, we're seeing how deep the friendships are becoming and how close people are in a really subtle but fast way. So that if anything starts to happen to our crew or to the people in it, we're going to really fucking care. Like, you know, if anything touches this lovely little threesome of Uhura and Ortega and Chapel, that we know that if you put those three in crisis, we're going to be rooting for every single one to come out of it. And we're going to believe the love that they have for one another in that moment. I mean, it's just, oh no. I'm trying really hard not to get spoiled at the moment.
No,
I'm trying to avoid everything.
I have nothing to say other than next week is
Those
great.
characters are next.
Oh, God.
Okay, and for our final call this evening, we have Abby returning to the Open Pike Night Stage, always with her wonderful take.
Hey, Open Pike. It's Abby Summer from the First Flight podcast. I'm sure you could hear my little squeals of glee all the way from wherever you are when I turned this episode on, because all that Vulcan aesthetic, it just makes me so happy. There's food, there's costumes, there's jewelry, there's stuff. It was just glorious. But I'm sure you're going to talk about that with everyone else. And there's so many good things to talk about in this one. But as per usual, I have a question. So we know the memory that Amanda shared with Spock, and we know that T'Pring had to share her mind with her mother. What memory do you think T'Pring got from T'Pril? I'm sure it was absolutely delightful. But all of you are delightful, so I hope all you and yours are well, and we'll talk soon.
That's a great question, Abby. Dang.
Did we not know? Do we not know? I feel like there was a line where she said, "Oh, it was this," as they were leaving, but did we not actually know
I
at all?
don't think so.
Boy,
I
that
don't
does
think we found out.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to watch it again. This will be my third rewatch, guys. Because
So sorry, Dr.
I wanted to...
Hey, if we can force people to watch more Trek, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think she would show T'Pring her and Sevex, the father-in-laws, their ritual and how perfect that went, and giving her an example of how this is supposed to go with a real Vulcan speeder.
Yeah. It would definitely have been something to make T'Pring feel bad.
Yeah.
That she'd failed somehow subtly as a daughter and as a Vulcan. It will be something along those lines.
Or it's the one time Amanda said something bad about T'Pring to T'Pril.
And I could see it even going one step further as to something T'Pril thinks is a sweet and loving thing, but is just a backhanded memory when T'Pring views it like,
right.
Right. Thanks, Mother. Yeah.
It's like the first time I fixed your Vulcan braid. It was so sloppily done, but you really had tried.
Yeah.
And that was great.
Yeah.
This is why I think Spock is T'Pring's rebellion. This is just
I'm
convincing
liking this
me more and
theory
more.
a whole
It's a
lot.
good
Like
read.
that's a fantastic theory. Yeah.
I think that works. And I wonder if there is a part of T'Pril that actually, I'm going to assume that T'Pril loves her daughter, right? I think that there's probably a part of her that wanted to show a moment in her own life where she felt inadequate, but I don't know that would fit because Savette seems incredibly forgiving and like an incredibly nice and good partner, right? Like he's supporting his wife even though she's kind of a villain here. Like he's doing what a dutiful partner might do, you know? So I'll give you like kind of a cheat answer here, Abby, and say I hope that Savette shared with T'Pring the first moment he saw her after she was born, because I bet you that changed his entire life. And I hope that we had that moment because he clearly seems to be a better dad than Sarek. So I hope that T'Pring had the benefit of that at some point, even if it weren't during this ritual. Because I don't know what T'Pril would do. I think the rest of us had it right that she would be a little backhanded.
Or it was the first time he saw Sarek at the Vulcan Capitol from across the way.
So I'm just going to let the audience guess right now which character from this episode Jesse identifies the most with. We'll just take a moment and write down your guess and send it in.
Savette for life, as I have said on Twitter already.
So Fern, do you have a joke you'd like to tell for this episode?
Oh my God. It was okay. Can we just establish that you guys hit me with this without my knowledge? So I had zero time to prepare.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you the worst joke I know. It's not got no swearing in. And there's a history to this joke.
Okay.
And I'm going to start it by telling you this joke is not funny. You just have to deal with it on that level. So this is a joke that my best friend from when I was 20 and I'm now 37 used to think is the funniest joke in the world. And the first time she told it, I sat there going, that isn't funny. That's just not funny. And she's told it so many times over so many years that to me now, it is the funniest joke in the world. It's not. I want to go in explaining to you that this joke that I'm about to tell you is not funny. And it's really short and it's really simple. Are you ready?
Yes. Yep.
Why did the man fall out of the tree?
Why?
Because I shot him.
They're my favorite jokes.
I've just realized I've said that to Americans. That's not.
That's not a
Which
joke.
means we totally get it.
Yeah. I mean, he was on your property, and so you shot him. Yeah, we got it. Yeah.
No, but to British people, as we don't have the gun culture you do, that's not funny anyway. But to her, it was the most hilarious thing you could say. And now, whenever anyone ever, I love the fact Jessie is basically dying. Whenever anyone says to me, "Do you know a joke?" It's the only one that is in my head, and it is the worst, unfunniest joke in the world. I just need better joke. I need more jokes. Someone, please, that if your audience could send a joke in for me that I could now tell people in that place, I would be so grateful because fucking hell, that's the only thing I have.
I will posit that the joke actually specifically works because you have an English accent.
Yes.
Like if an American told that joke, somebody would go,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what you do when people.
Do you know who else could tell that joke and it would be a huge hit? Is Arnold Schwarzenegger in an action movie just before he shoots somebody out of a tree? Like, that is what that joke is. That is
You're
an
fired.
action.
That would be perfect. Predator style. Yeah. That would be amazing.
I thought you were going to say Ortegas, John, because apparently every joke she tells is a massive hit as well.
Yeah, that's true. That is
and I have
true.
to say,
Yeah,
sometimes subtitles add something to an episode because there's a moment when Spock is laughing and it just said Spock braise. And I'm like, yes, that is not a word I would have thought, but it's this moment perfectly.
Wow. Every time that somebody starts their joke with "this is not a funny joke," I love it. Just maybe that's the dad in me.
That makes me feel a lot better. That does make me feel a lot better. I don't think I could ever tell that joke going in cold of being like, guys, this is the greatest joke you've ever heard in your life. Get ready for it.
I think I'm about 70% of the way through your book. I'm thoroughly enjoying Sex Lessons from History. Like, it is, you do a great job reading it. I have a very different view of James Joyce than I had before. I just got to that yesterday, and while I was driving, I'm like, holy crap, James Joyce. And excellent choice on getting somebody else to read that letter.
It's the only part of my book that I said I can't be the person who reads that. Someone else needs to read that for me.
I also love that
it can't be me.
I love that he stumbles in the middle of reading it, and he's almost laughing too at what he's reading. Like, this is so good.
Yes, can vouch for this. Last night we had a pre-show meeting, and John was like, "You guys get this book. Trust me, get this book. Like, this is 100%." Behind the curtain here.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're enjoying it, and it's a book for everyone about every part of sex and love that you could possibly want to know, and how we're so fucked up in our culture that sometimes the past was a better place for it. So I hope if you enjoy it, let me know.
Just like archaeological medicine.
There you go. There you go.
Look at that. It comes full circle.
What else do you have to promote for us, Fern? Or for yourself?
Oh, Christ. Oh, actually, something brilliant. As Your America. Huh?
Yeah.
I have a show that I'm on called Interesting Bits that is coming out on Curiosity Stream. It's coming out right now. I think it's just started. It's 8 episodes. I'm on the episode about love, talking Percy Shelley and Mary Shelley and sex and contraception in the 18th century. And it's a lot of fun if you like your history without any of the boring bits. So it's History, the Interesting Bits on Curiosity Stream, and it's just started streaming in the US.
Nice. I love Curiosity Stream.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming to talk about Season 2, Episode 5, Charades with us. We do a ranking at the end where we compare it to Season 1, Episode 5. And it is time now that we're halfway through Season 2. Who wants to start?
Not me.
Oh, that's easy. This is so much better. This is so much better. This for me. I vote for Season 2.
Season 2. All right.
In our coverage of this episode, not once did we say comedy is hard. So I'm going to go this one trumps, even though they're a great bookend, this one trumps Season 1.
Yeah, I think it almost feels like we said earlier, this is a duology about human Spock or altered Spock, I guess.
Spock swapping.
But but I think I have to agree. And this might sound predictable because I feel like I've said every episode of this season has been better than its corresponding episode in the first season. But it does just go to show the confidence that these creators have. There was no feedback when they filmed Season 2 because Season 1 had just premiered. So to know that they were this confident and that they were gonna take these swings, I'm nothing but impressed. And I laughed out loud multiple times in this episode. My wife, who is not a Trekkie, stopped and watched for minutes at a time. I mean,
minutes.
She seriously went, "Why is this Spock hotter than normal?" And it, spoiler alert, it's the hair. So but it was like, that's what good Trek does, is it reaches even non-Trekkies because it is so relatable and universal and good. And in this case, funny. Like, come on, this was hilarious. Yeah, I got to give it to this one.
And I'll remind, it was like we're thinking Spock Amok. Spock Amok has Rongovian. Spock Amok has Enterprise Bingo, Ensign Christina and Zaire. This episode is absolutely superior to Season 1, Episode 5, even though it's so good. And I think part of it is because they just kept it on the ship. It's because it is a smaller episode. And while, again, the B plot isn't, with Christine, isn't meant to be comedy, it brings us comedy. Whereas I think Enterprise Bingo was meant to be comedy and it just didn't bring it, like we talked about last year. And so, I think universally, I feel like people say this is a better Episode 5 than Season 1.
Well, and I think I will defend Episode 5, Spock Amok, and say it did have the heartfelt closing, right? Because they used Enterprise Bingo to set up comedy, but then we got the beautiful moment on the whole with La'an and Una. And I deeply appreciated that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this episode works without that episode, but I still think it is a better episode.
Yeah.
Or, recency bias and everything. I had so much fun with this episode. Yeah.
Second favorite episode of the season.
There you go. Dr. Fern Riddell, thank you very much for joining us today, for being so generous with your time. We appreciate you joining us on the Open Pike Night Stage.
Thanks so much, guys. I had the best time. I cannot wait for the rest of the series.
Where can people find you real quick if they want to find more from you?
You can find me on Instagram and Threads and Twitter at Fern Riddell on all of them.
All right.
And please consider the invitation open to come back whenever you like. Our stage is definitely open to you.
Yes.
I would be absolutely honored, because the one question I have for you guys before we go, for me, the standout episodes we've heard through all seasons so far is, of course, the one where it's the storybook. That is the greatest episode of all time for me for Strange New Worlds. Do you think this season is going to be able to better it? And if so, how?
Everybody on the cast and crew says yes, and has said that to us for episode 9.
Yes,
Yeah.
They have all specifically said, we can't wait for people to see episode 9. It's something Trek has never done before. It's, this huge swing. So we have seen through the next episode, through episode 6.
Yeah.
But we
haven't seen Lower Decks crossover.
I will say for me, through episode 6, there hasn't been something that I feel dethrones Elysian Kingdom. How's that for a
Hey.
Nice.
But yes, Lower Decks crossover could, and then this mysterious episode 9. We'll see. But yes, I agree. Elysian Kingdom is going to be hard.
That's a good way to keep a fan intrigued. That's a very good way to keep a fan intrigued.
And if you are intrigued, you are welcome to call in. Send us a 90-second audio clip for any episodes you like. We'd love to hear your voice talking about other episodes where you're not a guest.
I will do. Can you imagine what happens if they hurt Chapel in any way? You guys are just going to get a voicemail of me just crying, just being like, "Do you remember?"
We will get 5 or 6 voicemails of that from different fans. Absolutely,
that whole episode might be emotions on the phone.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for having me. I've had the best time.
Thank you very much. And now a little bonus we mentioned earlier in the episode. Here's the interview we conducted recently with the director of episode 5, Charades, Jordan Canning.
And I am tagging along as Jesse.
As Jesse. Love it. Hello, I'm Jordan.
Hi, Jordan. It's great to meet you. Thanks for talking with us today. So, were you a fan of Star Trek before you got the chance to direct this episode? And if so, what type of episode did you always picture yourself directing?
Ooh, that's fun. I was a big Next Gen fan, and I was a big, real obsessed about Voyage Home. Like, I watched Voyage Home many, many times. So I think it actually makes a lot of sense that I got the kind of a comedy episode, because, Voyage Home to me was like so funny and so poignant, and I loved seeing them out in the real world, and getting to be kind of just regular folks trying to make sense of the world. So yeah, I think the comedy episode is what I always wanted. I always loved comedy episodes of like X-Files and stuff. So yeah, this is my bag.
Those were some good ones. Was there a specific toy in the Star Trek sandbox you were really looking forward to dealing with?
I mean, I kind of got it with the AR wall, but the holodeck and the food replicator to me were always like the magical things I always wished I had in my house. But the AR wall is as close to the holodeck as I'm ever going to get, I think.
So this episode relies on pitch perfect tone all the way through. Is there something that you were able to use as a guide for that, or were you just thinking of the voyage home?
Oh, well, so Henry Alonzo Myers, who's the showrunner, him and Catherine wrote an amazing script. I will say, like, right from the get-go, when I read the script, the tone was so clear. It was right on the page. It was so funny. There was so much heart. It was, as you say, pitch perfect. And then, usually in TV, in prep, you do a thing called a tone meeting, which is usually when you have like a conversation with the showrunner and they sort of take you through the script. And they're like, okay, this is kind of what's going on here. And Henry, I've never done one like this with him. It was a 3-hour tone meeting. Like, Henry went deep. And so I had this great, I mean, I have it pulled up here. It's like a 10-page document where I was just like, okay, type, like taking notes and sort of like talking through all of these things with him and Catherine, and just being like, okay, I get it. Was like he downloaded his brain into my brain. And so, having that kind of prep at the beginning where you're like, okay, I know exactly what they're going for. And now it's up to me to sort of like figure out how to do that and deliver it. So yeah, it was.
I think we would all agree on our show that you nailed it. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, I loved the script so much.
So you've been doing several of these interviews today. Is there something you really want to talk about or share with people that you haven't had a chance to share yet with anybody else?
That's a great question.
Give us an exclusive is what we're asking.
An exclusive. Let me run through the episode in my brain. I'm really happy with how the visual language and the blocking of the episode came together. I think when you have sort of, there were a lot of group scenes, you have obviously the in-laws, you have groups of people, smaller looks between, little looks between Spock and T'Pring, or, just finding all of those little pieces you need to kind of tell the whole story in a scene. And in a comedic scene as well, you need all of those reaction shots and those little sort of specialty shots that really hit the joke properly, So I'm really quite proud of how we were able to find those moments, and a lot of those were sort of on the day, seeing something that one of the actors did, like, in the big interdimensional space scene with Uhura and Ortegas and Chapel. There was this great moment where Celia, Uhura, kind of gives this like side eye where she's like, sure, you don't know how you feel about Spock, and she sort of did that. She kind of just did that in one of the wider takes. I was like, ooh, that's good. I'm going to put the camera over here and get that little cut where you just see her look to tell that story just a little bit better, and we had all of these great moments of, there's so many great moments with Pike reacting and just doing like little physical things in the background that just amp up the comedy throughout, So I'm really pleased with how, and also how Glenn, the DP, Glenn Keenan, and I kind of developed this visual language, how we started sort of framing shots in a specific way when it had to do with Spock, Spock in the center, kind of over his back, very centered up, and then sort of everyone kind of placed symmetrically. It's a kind of familiar comedic framing that you'd see in like, Wes Anderson or the Coen brothers. And I just love that we were able to do that. It's a show that allows their director to really stretch and play creatively and play with the visual language. There's not just like one right way to shoot this film or to shoot this show. I mean, it does feel like a film sometimes. They really let you kind of stretch your muscles creatively. It was very satisfying.
Right.
Yeah, well, speaking of the comedy, I've got to imagine this episode has enough outtakes to fill a whole reel on its own.
Oh, yeah, there's some good stuff. Oh, yeah.
Our listener, Jen, wants to know how many takes the Speak Like a Vulcan scene took. And yeah, I'm just wondering if you have a favorite outtake.
Oh, we had some great riffs in the Speak Like a Vulcan thing that that didn't make it for time. I'm trying to remember. We had this one way of saying things that they kept going back and forth on, like Spock would try it and then they would be like, no, like this, and you would go back and forth. It could have been like a 6-minute scene, but they had some great riffs in there. Well, and also, like Rebecca and Melissa, they were the ones who were like, okay, I want to do this thing with the eyebrow.
Yes.
And and that little button Lon has where she goes, do I really talk about it? Yes, absolutely. Like it's such a perfect little punctuation mark at the end. I will say one funny, this came to mind in terms of like an outtake, the thing with Ethan, we really focused on like how to shape his humanness in this, and to make sure it never felt too bing bong, or that it was always sort of grounded in a real Spock. And so sometimes you take a swing and you're like, okay, nope, that was too big, or no, that's not big enough. And I do remember there was this great moment I love the scene in the hallway where he bumps into Chapel and he gives her like the hug and she's like, okay, this is it. And there's a close up of him sort of over her shoulder where you see his face in the hug. And there were a couple of real wild looks he was given in that. There was one where I was like, oh no, we can't do that one, Ethan. Dial that back. And I was like, okay. I was just trying something. But that's the thing with comedy. And what's so great about actors who are good at it is that they do, you throw things at the wall and you see what sticks. Sometimes it doesn't work and sometimes something surprises you and you're like, well, that's not how I heard it in my head, but I love it and it's funny. So let's go for it.
Oh, nice. Paramount, we want those on the DVD.
Oh yeah.
All of them.
We got it.
In that same line, was there a particular joke or scene that was the hardest to get through just because people couldn't stop laughing?
I mean, the talk like a Vulcan scene, everybody was really cracking up there. Yeah, it was great. We were all just sort of like hanging out in the bridge, sort of just off camera. And I don't know, I think it was a day where it was like a nice kind of chill day. So nobody was too stressed about time. And we were just sort of playing around. I was just throwing things out. Oh, I will tell you one more thing. We had this one scene that it was a fully improvised scene. It was when we were in the bar sort of set and Rebecca and Ethan came up and they were like, okay, we have an idea for a little part of the montage. You want to add this into the montage? Because I was always trying to find like more things to put in the montage in case, you wanted to flesh it out. And they were like, okay, Spock tries gum. We're like, okay. And they're like, okay, so Rebecca will be like at the bar and she'll like put gum in and Ethan will be like, Spock will be like, what is that? And she's like, oh, it's gum. And she tries to like explain the point of gum to a Vulcan who's just like, well, this is illogical. You just chew on something, but you don't eat it. And so she's describing it and he's chewing on it. He's sort of like, And then he was like, maybe it'd be good with nuts. And then he takes some nuts and eats it with a gum. And I was like, and she's like, no. And he's like, how about a pickle? And he eats a pickle and he's just chewing this disgusting mash of goo. And he's like, I don't like gum. But anyway, we shot it, but it's just maybe it's just for the DVD.
I hope so. That's beautiful in its simplicity.
Thank you very much for your time. We would love to have you on Open Pike Night for a full episode sometime.
I love that
interview.
Yeah.
And hey, thanks for bringing like good comedy to Strange New Worlds and to Trek. Trek always struggles with it. And yeah, this one is a fun episode to watch.
Awesome. So. My pleasure. Thanks for talking to me.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Jesse, if folks want to get their voice heard on the Open Pike Night Stage and find us on social media, how can they do that?
The easiest way to get your voice on our stage is to go to openpike.com/join us. You'll see a button right there that says record, and you can send your voicemail directly. Or if you'd like a little higher quality on your recording, which we do appreciate but don't demand, you can record an MP3 and email that to openpike@gmail.com. Now, if you'd like to be part of that internet discourse to which I referred, you can find us on basically any social media app at Open Pike. We are on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube. I think that's it, guys. But yeah, just search at Open Pike and you will find us.
And wherever you come to talk to is where we'll be acting.
Yes, 100%.
We enjoy the conversation and the discourse and hearing from people. That's the whole point of Open Pike Night is bringing a diversity of voices to the stage.
Yeah, so if you care about Blue Sky, come talk to us on Blue Sky.
You might just want to send us an email saying, hey, I talked to you on Blue Sky, so we remember to check Blue Sky. Cam, when you're not on the Open Pike Night Stage, where can folks find you?
Yeah, you can find me over at Green Shirt and Newbies Trek to the Next Generation, where I, along with John and our other hosts, Rob and Bobby, are making my first way through TNG. As I'm sure most of you know, very far through season 6 now. We're going to have former guest Veronica Osorio on shortly. We've had Alice Wetterland, her co-host, also appears in Lower Decks. So getting some fun guests over there to discuss TNG, and we're also covering DS9.
Jesse, when you're not hanging out at Open Pike Night, where can you be found?
If for whatever reason you need more of me in your ears, just stay in this podcasting app and look up Sudden But Inevitable. It's the show where I bring people through one-season TV shows that got canceled before their time. For their first time, I introduced a friend to Firefly. I introduced Cowboy Bebop. We found somebody who had never seen Donnie Darko, and we brought her through that. So if you like to hear people get forced to like stuff, go check out Sudden But Inevitable.
And do we have any special events coming up, Jesse?
Oh my gosh, John, we have so many special events coming up. But first among them is our social media pin giveaway that we have partnered with our friends at Heroes in Action to do. So if you are listening to this episode on release day, check your social medias because you may be the winner of one of our pins. And remember, there are 4 pins to give away. So make sure that you check Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And Cam, are we going to be going anywhere special sometime soon?
Just going to say, as long as it's still happening, Star Trek Las Vegas, we will be there. You know, whatever actors arrive or not, we will be there. So if you're going, come find us, come check us out. We'll have stickers, we can hang out. Who knows what hijinks will ensue in Vegas.
But yes, Open Pike Night is going to be at Star Trek Las Vegas as long as the event happens. Support SAG-AFTRA, support the actor strike, support the writers strike, but support Star Trek too. So we're hoping to meet a lot of people there, have some fun, get to our first full-fledged Trek convention, and just have a great time.
There's no giant room full of Trekkies that isn't a good time.
So should we bring foam batlets for everybody then? And
I prefer a Leopa.
If we can't have panels, we can at least have foam sword fights. I'll just say that right now, Star Trek Las Vegas, you can have that idea for free.
And I actually have looked through the list of what SAG-AFTRA members are not allowed to do. It doesn't say anything about duels. So,
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
It's been a long night, and the Open Pike Night crew has to go cool off in our quarters after recording this episode. Be sure to tip your servers. Be sure to clean up after yourselves. Don't sweep the crumbs onto the floor. You can go anywhere you want, but you can't stay here.
What the fuck?